The Arty 84 Show.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? It's the Arty 84 Show. Live after a few weeks off, we had taken a bit of a vacation um, to get some stuff done, but we're back to where we need to be, so we're back with you. This is episode 252, and this is October 28th, Monday, to be exact, a couple days before the great holiday of Halloween. Let me just make sure this is all set and good. There we go. We're doing good. So thank you guys for tuning in today. Of course, if you're listening to this on demand on YouTube, please subscribe and leave your comments below. And if you're watching us live here on Facebook today, thank you. We appreciate that. So it's been a few weeks. A lot has happened. This weekend has been a very, very busy one for those who have been following me on the social network paths. Went to a big event on Sunday. And I had an opportunity to go, and I thought about it, and then I looked at the magnitude of the event, of how much, like a historic event, the size, it's a big deal. This is not something that happens all the time, and it was at the most famous arena in at least the country. Everyone knows MSG, and I figured it was easy to get to and for, so I might as well. So I wanted to enter the rally as I guess you could say, of no opinion, unopinionated. I wanted to try to go in with no. I already know who I'm voting for anyway, so nothing was gonna be swayed one way or another. So at that point, I wanted to come go of a conscientious objector, and basically go in and see, all right, if I didn't know anything about this guy or the Republican Party or anything of that nature, let me see if I can go in and make an opinion at the end of the day. Did I learn more? Was it good? Do I think it's bad? Yada, 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 all the above. So that's what I did. So I started the morning early, got to the airport around 6:30, flew in. By the time I got into lower, I was actually in Midtown Manhattan was about like 11:15 in the morning. So, the thing about New York is when you're coming from Boston, it takes 4 hours to drive, 4 hours to fly, 4 hours on the train, 4 hours on the bus. So it's going to take you 4 hours no matter. The flight's like 45 minutes, but it's the hour and a half beforehand. And then once you land, you're about an hour outside the city too. So it causes a problem. You know what I mean? So to get to. So I got there 11, walked around here, stop up, and I got the instructions for the rally. Rally says you had to go between 32nd and 33rd Street off of 6th Avenue and start lining up there. So MSG was probably like 3 blocks away. They kind of have these pavilions and streets they had blocked off, so it would be easy to get to, and so, which makes sense. So I was going to go and grab a beer, hang out for a little while, since it didn't start at 2:30, and Trump was supposed to go on to 5:30. So I figured I have some time to do it. But then some of the time he was like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I should just get in line. I'm going to see what this is all about. Because I was afraid that what I did end up seeing was going to happen. So I got over there like a little before 12. I lined up. And at this point, we're on 6th Ave. Madison Square is on 7 and 8, I believe. So we're like 2 giant New York blocks away. And I'm at the top of the street on 6th, and we're back to people. And I can see people each block. They have the streets kind of blocked off to try to move the people around. And then I noticed the street over, too, also has people started. So you had 2 New York streets, elbow to elbow, 3 blocks deep, 2 sides, when they started letting people in. So then they had to let the people cross 7th Avenue, which was a task. So they had to keep blocking traffic, let a bunch of people go. And then, because usually, I guess, if I'm talking to someone, that MSG has multiple entrances. So they were using this one main entrance at this point because they had all the metal detectors, Secret Service, and all that stuff there. So it was it was a long wait. So I got there at 12. I didn't get into the arena till 2:15. So we were standing or moving in line for about over 2 hours at that point. It was not bad. I was like 50 something degrees. People had camped out overnight to be the first person to get in. So then as we were getting close to the edge, it was like camping equipment and stuff like that. And like food and stuff like that. People were like, oh, all right. It was cold the night before too, so I don't know anyone did that. But so we got in, and we were one of the last groups to get in because once we got to our seats, there was only like 2 or 3 sections left to fill. They filled the entire place. So every section, even the sections above, um, you know, the balcony and the little, I guess you could say the ring. If you ever been to Madison Square Garden, this is innocent in it, inner ring that hangs like over the court. That was filled with people too. So whatever the capacity was, plus some more because you figure it was filled up for a basketball game, but they had people on half the court too. So they had all those extra people there. So it was 18,000 people or so, something like that. So they filled that up to capacity, which was pretty impressive. The impressive part was when I was getting in and I looked behind me and the line that I was in had still been full to the rim all the way to 6th Street again, or 6th Ave. A lot of people. So they said it was a little under 200,000 people had showed up completely to go to this area. And, only like 18,000 of us were let in. But, and I believe because when you got out of the area after the rally, they had like 4 blocks in each direction blocked off around the arena. So you couldn't go down the streets if you wanted to. And you couldn't, go. So I had to actually go 7 blocks up, take a train to go back to Penn Station because they wouldn't let me inside Penn Station from the arena like you typically could be because I had to take the Long Island Railroad to the airport to fly back. So that was that thing. So we got in. It was a little nerve wracking being out there on 32nd, I believe it was, between 7th and 6th. There's only a few buildings. They actually have a building that's knocked down and you're exposed. So I don't even know if some of those buildings could do anything come crazy. I did notice like several snipers they had set up in the area. And they had these giant dump trucks blocking the road too, so people couldn't even get down there if they wanted to. It was pretty secure. And once you got in, it was pretty secure path down stuff, which obviously I assumed that would be the case for something of this high magnitude. And the amount of people there. I didn't know who was speaking at the time. I got a text right when it began with the up and coming on. So they had Dana White from the NFC MMA guy, Tucker Carlson. They had obviously Vance, Trump were there, Melania, Trump's kids, Dr. Phil was there, Hulk Hogan. A few representatives from the area, Speaker of the House. So there was an artist there. A guy did live artwork on stage. They had a comedian too. We'll get into that in the beginning after this, but it was a lot of people there, and I didn't know how many people were there. And there was no way in hell he was going to go right on at 5:30. Typically, these rallies, from what I did the research to, because this is my first rally, and I've been to a Democrat or Republican rally before, they typically always either run super late or they're super short. So super short, typically, if there's just the candidate speaking real quick, like a little, farm thing, and they get on, get off. Wicked long if it's something like this, right? So obviously, you get everyone to go up there and say the 2 words. So, so for that degree, I do say it was a little long because by the time we got in 2:30 and I left like at 8, I was there for almost 6 hours sitting there. It's a long time. A lot of some of the people like Elon Musk, for example, was very interesting to listen to. RFK was very interesting to listen to. These are people you would never see before. You would never ever see him in public or anything like that. This is like the only opportunity you get to actually see him in person, which I think it's way more impressive than seeing like a musician in person, right? Because they tour around, seeing someone of like the smartest man in the world, Elon Musk, right there, was pretty impressive. So I've always been a fan of him. So that was one of the pluses of the event. But in that degree, it did go a little long. They probably could have shortened up there. Everyone could have said something, but maybe cut it down a little bit. 2 hours, with the candidate coming up, that's probably would have been more comfortable, but whatever. So those are all things I'm taking in. So they started the show off with this comedian from the Kill Tony podcast, Tony something. I don't remember his name. I should have it right here, but anyways, I am not a fan of comedians at political events. And I know this for a fact because I ran for a political position and I had a comedian at the event. And with the comedian I hired was a friend of mine who was a pretty clean, comedian that could work the crowd pretty good. And kind of stay PG, politically correct, and all that stuff, which is great. He also brought someone with him that was a comedian that wasn't vetted or anything like that, and he kind of went rogue, and his jokes were a tad inappropriate for the crowd. They had mixed company in there and stuff, and so it kind of took away from the event or anything a little bit. The funny guy was great, But even with a guy like that, if a comedian in general, because some people just don't understand comedy, they live in a house, and we'll get to this point right here. Whereas like these people don't understand comedy and how comedy works. Comedy is meant to be subjective and point out obvious stereotypes, and it's supposed to be humorous and funny and not to be mean and whatever like that. But so that's why I don't like having a comedian at an event like this because that what they say could be misled that way, even though it's just comedy. But the people there aren't familiar with comedy. They don't go to comedy shows. They don't know how comedy works. So you really, it's like having an open mic in the middle of a Chinese restaurant at 8 p.m. where everyone's eating and not realizing there's a comedy show, right? Worst thing possible. So he did the opening guy made a couple of discolored jokes about there was one about Puerto Rico, and there was another one of some guy's hair in the audience and stuff. And I would have to say though, being there firsthand, those jokes didn't land very well. There was a lot of oohs and in the crowd. Not I laughter at the very minimum. Maybe some nervous laughter was all I heard, and you could even tell. I have some clips I'll probably show you, but he was telling a joke and it just died straight. So these people weren't there for a comedy show, right? They were there for to see very important people in the world and hear their stories and stuff and tell you why they should vote for someone and what they're gonna do. So they weren't there for a comedy show, and you could tell they weren't for their comedy show because the jokes he said may or may not have landed in like a comedy show aspect. Like he was down the street at Old Caroline's telling jokes. It was probably fine. People would be like, "Oh, I'm sure people would be offended because people do go to comedy shows and do get offended because they don't. I don't think they know what a comedy show is sometimes. Um, it's you think some guy on the street just talking shit to him, but it's not how it works. But uh, so these people one did not take the jokes. I guess very well. I mean, I kind of was doing ours. I was like, it's maybe in the right environment the joke works. But no, they're in a political contest or a rally of this nature. So I'll give a minus on that. You don't need the comedian. Maybe just a motivational speaker, something like that, to kind of pump the crowd up was good enough. It's too much of a risk in comedy. Too much of a risk. So you just never know what you're gonna get. You can't plan it. Even if you have the cleanest guy in the world who's just very scheduled with his words, you're gonna get an issue. You could have an issue, and it looks bad. And that's the first thing everyone who was ripping this rally said. They started saying, "Oh, there was jokes being told, this color jokes." I would tell you that he was a comedian, and the jokes were in fact jokes, not statements. So you're criticizing jokes. Yes, maybe a comedian, and jokes that weren't appropriate for this particular event, but it wasn't like this was rhetoric and preaching of what he thinks of stuff. It was a joke. It was to warm the crowd up. It was a fluffer. Okay. So I'm good on joke comedians at political events. You don't need them. Too much of a risk. And therefore, this is what it's been going on with the comments coming out online about the Trump rally. There are also people weren't there and stuff. No, it was 100% packed. You can't blame it. There's not an open seat in the house. And there were blocks and blocks of people outside who didn't get in, who ended up staying on there, and they kind of had the speakers and the TV set up and everything like that. So that is also a fact. So there are tons of people there. A little chaotic getting in, but I understand the magnitude of an event of this nature and the amount of security needed to get it done, and the amount of people. Like the Madison Square Garden holds 18,000 people, give or take. If there's 100,000 people all coming in at once, you're gonna have a problem. Usually during a Knicks game, they kind of trickle in a little bit. It's not so much you don't have to manage the crowds outside. I will have to say, very peaceful crowds. There was very, very little anger in the crowds. It was a happy crowd. People were happy to be there. I had some conversations with some nice people. All makes of, I would say, like where they're from, like all different countries and stuff, all different types of people, all different nationalities, religious, stuff like that. I mean, I talked to a guy who came in from Illinois. I talked to another guy who drove up from Connecticut. Another guy came from Virginia, and there were Asians, there were Latinos, there were black people there were white people there. There was all type of people there. I talked to a lot of people, and a really energetic younger crowd too, and an older crowd as well. But it was a nice mix of young. I've seen kids there. There were elderly people. We helped roll up in a wheelchair on the curb to get them in the building and everything. It was great. It was a lot of joy, peaceful. It was a very nice day. I would have to say, walking out there, it was nice. It was there was some negative stuff yelling about Harris and stuff, and you don't really need that. It's fine. Just enjoy the good stuff. The people, chant USA, singing "God Bless America." That was the nice stuff. Could have used about the political insults. It wasn't really the time or place for it, and it really doesn't matter because everyone's there at the same knows the same thing too. So you're not really preaching to anyone, right? You're just kind of being annoying. So those annoying people. We're gonna have those in any rally, I guess, or any large crowds for that matter. So, but other than that, and waiting outside, because of the funneling was probably the downside of the day, right? And then as for the show when it kicked on, the comedian could have lived without him. Tony, I'm sure he has a great podcast and everything like that. And I'm sure he's funny and in the right setting, but could have used developed comedian for the rally. I think that was probably a big thing there. Another thing people were saying it was a Nazi rally. It's weird. I can't even use that word. Definitely not. I sat between if it was a really bad organized one because I sat right between two Jewish guys and was talking to them and yeah, it would be definitely interesting. One had an Israeli flag, so it would be really, really odd if they were there for that. And he's holding held a fundraiser there. I guess there was a Nazi rally in the late 30s, right? But there's also 7 other presidents, mostly Democrat, that also held rallies at Madison Square Garden, from JFK to Roosevelt to Cleveland, held rallies there. And they all have different political affiliations. So, and there's an event there every single night. There have been gangster rappers convicted of murder who've performed at Madison Square Garden. So, that's a criminal right there. So, stuff of that nature. So, no, it was not a hate rally. And I would say, from things I heard, it was 80% of what we're gonna do, and how we're gonna do it. 10% negative on Harris and like 10% negative on Biden. A little bit of Biden, a little bit of Harris. He didn't really talk about how negative and it's just what they're doing wrong is what he was pointing out and what he's gonna do better, right? But hateful talk minimum. It was minimum for what I thought. It was kind of some angry words towards Harris, but I mean you're gonna get that when people are fired up at a rally, anyways, right? But it wasn't like some of the things I've seen of a Harris rally, which is a lot of hatred for majority of it, right? Or just blaming Donald Trump the entire time. It's him telling you what you're gonna do. This was a lot of what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it, some ideas. And the only thing I seen that would be a little interesting was, or I should say, surprising, was the new tax credit he wants to do for people who take care of their parents and disabled kids and stuff. I think that's great. I think they should definitely get a tax break. And I don't want people to be confused. No, he wants to get rid of taxes on tips and stuff. This is just federal taxes. Okay, this has nothing to do with your state tax. That's a whole different thing. The federal government can't control. So Trump can't take away your state tax. Okay, it's just going to be federal tax. So, but still, getting a credit towards your federal tax return is also very nice. And I think that's good policy. I like that one. I like that a lot. Especially if you take care of an elderly parent or you have a kid who has a disability and it persuades you from not being able to work as much as you want or do stuff or afford stuff because you are taking care of this bank, you should get a tax credit as if they were a child of yours, which I think is great. So that's the only thing that out of the ordinary that popped in that no one heard before. So, and I like to be, I guess I'm being called a Nazi or a terrible person for going to something like this. And I was just a conscientious objector. I just wanted to see what it was like. I was curious about what all the hype is about. And people bought into it. Now I would say it's some parts are cheesy. Like any other political, when politicians start trying to act like actors or musicians, it gets a little uncomfortable. But then people would come up there. There's some people that talked, and they were kind of just the way they were talking. It was just a little cheesy. They're getting like fired up. It was a little uncomfortable, So yeah, I could live without that too. So, but that's probably one of the downsides, right? It was a little cheesy. You get into, right? But there was a lot of positive energy. There's a lot of people that want to be there. There were people who were a lot more involved and deep into the extreme of knowing all the information, like the diehard fans, I guess. There were a lot of them. I would just say I was just a fan, just checking it out, seeing what it was like, seeing if it would change my mind in any way or if there's anything there, that would maybe, one way or another, I guess, right? So yeah, it was a nice day. It was like I said, not a hateful place. Could have used about the comedian in the beginning with the jokes, wrong place, wrong time. The cheesiness of some of the people up there, I could have lived without. I guess that was all right. The length, maybe shorten it up a little bit, and yeah, that was about it. I guess I was free to get in, so it didn't cost me anything, so it didn't really bother that. And I'm sure all rallies are like this. This is not. I'm not saying that there was a bad rally. There was a pretty impressive rally. Madison Square Garden is an iconic arena, and excuse me for being able to get all those people there. And then outside too is very impressive, especially when it's a mostly liberal city. I know most of the people who were probably there were coming from out of town. I know you're probably going to say, "Well, there was people from all around the world there." Oh. Okay, yeah, you're right. I came from Boston, so I was from there. So I'm not from New York, so it's not an absolute representation of Manhattan. Manhattan's not suddenly going red, people. Okay, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is people came in from out of town and they filled it up. There's a lot of people who wouldn't, if it was just, you know, at a farm or something like that in the middle of Pennsylvania, right? So I don't know. Um, but for all you people who were hating on people going there, saying it was a hate rally, you just don't understand. You need to do your homework. I'm telling you, I was there. There's nothing like that at all. And unless you think I'm a hateful person, which I'm not, and the rally at no shape or form changed my perspective on how I would be as a human. Um, and I think that does it for most people. I think you owe me an apology out there in the world for all the negative comments. I mean, it is what it is. If you went to a Harris rally and it was at, Madison Square Garden, I wouldn't judge you. I don't judge anyone for who they vote for and what they want because my perspective is I'm not really a Democrat. I'm not really a Republican. I'm more of a libertarian because I give a shit about myself and I don't care about what you do as long as what you do doesn't affect me. And that's where I draw the line. And I think most of this country is exactly like that. They want less government involvement and they want more just mind your own business, do what you want to do. And as long as you're not hurting anyone else, everything's fine. That's that from most people I talk to, about 70% of the people I talk to, and that is more of a libertarian way of view. Unfortunately, the Libertarian Party would be the number one party, I guarantee you, because everyone would be on board with it if they could get out of the bureaucracy of the two-party system, which right now it's tough to, you couldn't even get an independent or or a Green Party to make any movement because one has to stop the other because you need control of Congress. So, that's the way that rolls. So I don't know. It is what it is. Yeah, so feel what you want to feel about people who go to places like this. I'd be more open to go to a Democratic rally too. If it was something big like that too, if someone, if it was just a rally at a big arena, I'll check it out. I want to see what it's like. I want to see if it's any different or if it's the same and keys to it. But that's it. It's unfortunate. Just the hatred. People supposedly friends on Facebook, right? Look at that. Just grouping you up with a bunch of people that may be like that out there. Um, but like I said, there was no hate at that place whatsoever. There's no yelling. It was just, a lot of energy, a lot of good stories, a lot of good stuff, So, I say you can't hate it unless you tried it. So I advise you, why don't you guys go? Why don't you go in like I did, with an open mind, unsubjectedly, and just take in the ambiance and what's going on, and make a decision for yourself, and then go to the other sides and do theirs as well. Because people who make these accusations about these things that never have even been there or seen it or have no expertise or no even third market experience of the knowledge of it, have a lot of opinions. And I get it. Freedom of speech, say what you want to say, and everyone has an opinion, but you know how it says they all stink, right? Like they're like assholes. They all stink, right? No, but your opinion's your opinion, and you should have your opinion. And there you go. But to maybe you should think twice before what your opinion is and see if it hurts people around you, because hurting people does not constitute being an ass, right? So just things I wanted to set on about the rally. It was a memorable place. It's definitely a historic event. Whether he wins or not, I don't know. We won't know. We'll find out next week. The case, but I think if more of these things were done like this, and they would attract a lot more people, and you would get a lot more people voting and excited about elections. I think that's, you know, you talk to a lot of young people. We got to get energized. We got to get the votes because we just got to get out there. You know, it's your right as an American to go out there and vote. You are the employer of these politicians. You have the right to fire them or keep them on the job. And that is your show. You pay for them. You pay for everything, and they are there to work for you. And that is the bottom line. And do not let them tell you otherwise. So get out there and vote. That's the only way you're gonna have a say. And don't vote for some celebrity telling you, or some millionaire telling you, or some, whatever athlete telling you. Do not vote because they tell you. Just remember, most of those people are out of touch and do not live the same life as you. So their perspective on life is completely different than what probably yours is. So keep that in mind. Also, do what's right for yourself and what's right for your family. The guy next door from me might have different feels for what's right for them and their family than I do. Well, that's why we each have our individual right to vote. So I vote for one person, they vote for the other. And then you have to make dues what happens at the end. So, you hope there's some kind of compromise in the middle. And that's what a good politician would do, bring a little bit of A from B to make C. A lot of them don't do that. That sucks. There's nothing you can do about it. That's both parties. That's the whole entire of Congress, right? So just be happy you can vote. Go out there and vote. Don't look down on someone for who they voted for. It's just it's their opinion on life, and let it be. And be happy they're able to do something like that, and you're able to do something like that, because there's a lot of countries in this world where you can't do that. And that's sad and it's upsetting, but that's the reality of it. So if you just think about it before you say something on Facebook or anything like that, think about the people who read it. I think talking politics on Facebook is kind of a moot point anyways, because they're just your friends. It's not like you go into a public forum, and they probably already know how you feel, and you probably know how they feel. So put anything out there, it's not going to convince either one of them. I don't think anything that's supposed to be a propaganda or something like that is necessary. And I have to tune on it myself. I just don't think it's appropriate to be blasting Politico and religious and crazy stuff that's personal to people out in the public like that, to who are your friends. I mean, not to the public, to your friends. And then you want to do it to the public and try to get feedback on strangers, that's fine. But your friends already know. And I think it just makes things uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's like religious politics, the things you don't talk at the bar. All right. So that's all I have to say about that. Again, leave your comments below. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. We're trying to get this back on a weekly. We were going twice a week over the summer, so we're going to try to get this back going like a slow train. So we'll probably be back next Monday, watching live on Facebook. And if you're watching this on YouTube or TikTok and anything like that, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Arty84 Show, Arty with a Y, and the Arty84show.com. See you guys later.
The Arty 84 Show.